Listen, kids. Listen, boobalas. I'm going to be like the good old days. I got my scarf, I got my older glasses, we got my herbs. I was going to say something about the herbs and I can't remember what. Listen, you have to think of the GOP primary as Miss America. It's a Miss America pageant. That's what it looks like. You ever seen those cheesy Miss America? And if for any reason she can't fulfill her duties, hey, run her up. Um, yeah, yeah. So, what do we got going on here? The legal woes facing Trump makes it. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to go to second person, and I think that person is Nikki Haley. And I think there are many reasons why Trump will be eliminated. Yesterday we had an interesting conversation about how an anthropologist would analyze some of what's coming in regarding alien stories. And one of the things I spent a lot of time looking at was the case out of Las Vegas. And a lot of people dismissed it, thought it was a joke. But I'm pretty intuitive about these things, and something about it seemed authentic. And I went back and looked at the film footage, and I went back and looked at people who had analyzed the film footage, and I decided as an anthropologist to take what would it mean to take if they were telling the truth. And what are we looking at? So what I saw a hominid. I didn't see an alien. I saw a human-like creature, possibly a hominid, split from humans. Maybe some split where we thought they had gone extinct due to predation. You have to realize that in our originally as anthropologists, we think, well, everybody else went extinct. Homo sapiens sapien survives, but everybody else goes extinct. That's the narrative. But what if we propose another narrative? That they did not go extinct, and that other lines simply chose to cloak rather than go to war. Our tool technology, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, huge changes in brain development, right? Meat, cooking, these things change brain development. But what if you were to go into the caves? What would your physiology look like? You might be smaller. You might not have any melanin in the eyes. If you went outside, you would have to probably wear some type of goggle or something to protect you. If you go out, you most likely go out at night. we're talking also about what appeared to be opposable thumbs. It's the other thing I wanted to mention. The way that there were 3 creatures that looked like hominid-like creatures. They did not look to be 10 feet tall. The 10-foot tall creature that I saw analyzed by MBBB3 looked more like a holograph, as if some fake structure had been put up in order to scare the humans away, because this particular species of hominid does not have the ability to fight. Their evolution is predominantly to cloak. So they've lost their cloak. And now they've got a security risk. Say they come in on an older ship, and on re-entry their ship gets damaged, so their cloak gets screwed up. So they get shot down by a US missile over Nevada. And then 3 of them eject in a pod. The pilot on the right, we named him Joe. The co-pilot on the left, we called her Lucy, the research scientist. The one whose goggles aren't working. The one that's trying to cloak. And then the guy in the back, closer to the pod. They're hiding in a tractor, by the way, which is precisely what you would do if you were Joe, if you were the lead pilot, and you had a very important research scientist with you, Lucy, and you've got a gunner in the back, and you've got a major security risk. What are you going to do? You're going to order your team into the tractor to avoid getting shot to death. And that's what he did. He ordered them into the tractor with the gunner in the back, closest to the pod. Nothing was working. Their cloaking had been destroyed, so the co-pilot was putting stuff up. She was putting a ghost creature to scare them off. They came in with guns. Those creatures could have gotten killed. They could have gotten shot to death. Not to mention the fact that their technology could have gotten in the hands of the wrong people. That's where my head went as somebody that was taking them seriously. And that's because I'm an anthropologist and I study folk stories and folk tales. And one of the things we learn when we study folk stories and folk tales is that there's truth in the pretend. And so if there is some truth in this pretend, how would it have likely gone down? So they're in the pod, they get out of the pod, everybody's okay. They hear the neighbors come out, they see some scary thing, they run back into the house. They come out with guns, right? Guns drawn. The beings put up gargoyles, The pilot orders them into the tractor to take cover so that none of his team is killed. They run back in the house, they call the police, 911. What is your emergency? Well, there's a big, giant boogeyman, right? They're hiding in the tractor. I think that what they may have seen was actually one of the holographs. So then they start to hear somebody on the roof. Why would somebody be on the roof? Well, what if you lost a signal? What if you were coming in to re-entry on an older ship and it was a mistake? We never should have used an older ship. What if the ship malfunctioned on re-entry, destroying your cloaking because you made the mistake of flying in an older ship, because mistakes can happen. So now they're resorting to some primitive techniques to get the hell out of there, and so the pilot is up on the roof. So what do the people calling 911 do? They start freaking out that aliens are on the roof. They can hear something on the roof. And then the cops come. And when they go back, everything is different. Everything is gone. So say the guy on the roof, Joe, gets the signal. They've got the location, and say some craft comes and hauls them out of there. What would be your first thought as the pilot who now has to go and report back to his team? That this is the worst security breach they've ever had, and that this is some of the first really strong verified film footage we have of their species, which is a hominid, Homo, and which I decided to name Glaucus because it's blue-green. So Homo glaucus, right? We jokingly call it Homo glaucus. Again, appears to have opposable thumbs. So we're not talking about a long time ago. I mean, we're not talking about splitting with the time of the chimp. We're not talking about 13 million years difference here. So closer to habilis, when we start seeing tool technology and the need for that development of the opposable thumbs, that's where my head goes as an anthropologist. All right, again, take it all with a grain of salt. We call this a pretend channel. We say truth can be found in the pretend because that's what scientists do. We imagine, we pretend, and then we rip it to shreds. All right, thank you, everyone. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you, too. If you need to get in for a reading with me, you can find the information below. Thanks for your love and support. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.